Hello, this is Sonya from Exeter Craft Hub. This workshop is about pebble painting and decorating. So just to give you some ideas of how you could decorate pebbles. Now, there are lots of different pebbles you can get hold of. You mustn't get pebbles from the beach. This, however, is ones that I've actually ordered online from Scotland, where they've got a licence to collect pebbles. And these I've picked up from local DIYs. A little bit more rough, but we've just washed them. So it's a bag of like pebbles that you just buy to put in your garden. So different sort of pebbles, different sizes, different textures. As you can see, these are some that I've already done. So one's with for about dogs. This one's quite popular at the minute, especially with us all in isolation. So hearts and rainbows. But you can also do things like flowers, little bits of decoration, whatever you fancy really. Okay, so to start off with, you obviously need your pebble, like so. I'm probably going to start on the bigger one. Okay, and then what you do is you decide what pens you want to use. If you're a sort of teenager or adult, I'd probably suggest you use these, which are Posca pens. They're really good. They're a chalk-based pen, so it's like a painting pen, but they'll go onto any surface, whether it's glass, plastic, pebbles, whatever you fancy, but they are mostly permanent. They can scratch off, so I'll show you how to varnish them later. So that's your first option. That gives you the most vibrant colours. If, however, you're working with children, or maybe you don't have that sort of availability, your standard Sharpie, again, you get some nice results from Sharpies, get some good colours. So, first thing to do is to think about what design you want. This is one that I've done where I've done a rainbow, but what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to start on this one. I'm going to start off with a heart. So you pick the first pen that you want, okay, and then all you do is you start colouring in your design. If you want, you can just draw a pattern first, and also if you want ideas of what to do on pebbles, look online. There's lots of examples that you can look up for designs. So I always like to start with a heart in the middle. I think that looks quite nice. And then what you can then do is pick your colours to go around the outside. The trick on this as well, especially when you're using Posca pens, is don't go over too close to the colour you've just done, because they will bleed into each other. So you can just see I'm just colouring around with the next colour. Sometimes you might have to put a second coat on, but there's the second colour going on. It's looking quite nice. And then I'd probably go for the green. And you just keep going and put all your colours down first, and that allows everything to dry. So you can see here, green is going on. I'm probably doing this a little bit more quickly than I normally would, just so that I can sort of show you how it works. And then I'm going to finish for the moment with the blue. So there is the blue just going on. Obviously you can use whatever colours you want in whatever order you want. There's no rule to it really. It's whatever you fancy, and you'll find that sometimes there'll be holes or dinks in the pebble. You just work over it or go around it or make it into part of your design. So if you think that's your starting point, you've got your colours on, you wait for it to dry for a little bit. The next thing is then to do the outline. So you do your colours first, make sure it's dry, and then you start doing your outline. So again, I'm using a Posca pen, and then I'm just going to literally go around very carefully around the outside and just highlight the shape that I've coloured in. Okay, so if you were to carry on doing that, now what I do like to do is I like to use white quite a lot, because it almost makes it pop. So for example, if I wanted to write something like the word hope, sometimes these pens need a little bit of a kickstart if they've not been used for a little while. So you would just write hope, or whatever it is you would like to write in the middle. It might be your name, or it might be for somebody specific. Again, I'm going to go over this a couple of times. I'm going to put that down and come back to it. But it just gives you an idea of how you can do that. And then again, just to make it really stand out, you can put little white dots. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to develop that one a little bit more a bit later on, but if I go to one of the small pebbles, another thing I quite like to do is anything to do with animals, because obviously a lot of us love animals. I in particular love dogs. So again, I would start off with maybe a heart, and then I would use the different colours that I've got just to write the word. So you can start off quite straightforward. Put your letters on. Like I said, might have to do another coat of this later. And I think I'm going to finish it with blue. So something like that. And then again, you can do your design and you can outline that later on. Another thing you can do is you can always start with a base colour. So, for example, some of the colours come out better than others. I might start with something like purple, and I might start off colouring the whole pebble in with a colour. So I get my base colour on that I want, so in this case purple. And then once you've got your base colour on, you let it dry. So as you can see, I'm just finishing that off. That's just a little pebble, just making it nice and neat. Be careful not to touch where you just drawn or painted on. So for this one, I am just going to put it down and just hold it lightly with my nail just so I can finish colouring, so it's looking all smooth. So you can just see, you finish your base colour, and then just go over it just in case I scraped it off, and then leave that one to dry. So like I said, this is one that I've already done. So something like that, you've done your design, and then you can decide you want to write on it or do patterns or doodles. So for example, on this one I might use a very fine pen, and I might just want to add whatever design or pattern I feel like I'd like to add. And you can just see, you can just make it however you want. Just giving it a bit of a pattern, and then you can do each one differently. So you can maybe do stripes or whatever you feel like. So you can do lots of different things, but the more colour you use, I think, the better. Just to show you an example of one where I've used Posca pens. So this is the hearts. I've used, sorry, not Posca pens, Sharpies. So again, I've used Sharpies here on this one, and you can just see, you can colour things in. You can do, it's not quite as bright and vivid, but you can do some really nice designs. And again, you can finish this with a Sharpie, outlining it, maybe in black, just to finish it off. So you just haven't got any gaps. So you can still use different pens. You can make lots of different things, whether it's doodles, patterns, animals, whatever you fancy. Okay, so pebbles. Hopefully you might have some in your garden that you can use. Please do not pick them up from the beach, as I said, but here's some ideas for maybe things that you can do and put in your garden. To finish off, I tend to use something like this, which is plastic coat. So what I would tend to do is I take them outside, somewhere safe for adults only, shake the can up, and then I just spray them. So you can see this one, for example, it's got a slight shine on it because I've used the gloss. You can get this in gloss or matte, and it just seals it so it doesn't come off, because the paint will scratch off if it's just left. So if I just show you on here, oh, actually it's not coming off, but usually if it's left outside, that will wash off or come off eventually, whereas if you cover it, it won't. Anyway, thank you very much. Sonya, Exeter Craft Hub.